It's just a few days before the new year, and we wanted to take a look back at some of the influential, groundbreaking women who we said goodbye to in 2023. They trailblazed a path for women in leadership from the White House to the nation's highest court and beyond. Here to discuss, MSNBC analyst and vice chair of the Forbes and Know Your Value 3050 Summit, Huma Abedin, and editor of Forbes Women, Maggie McGrath. Great to have everybody back together. Huma, I want to start with former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who, of course, my family knew well. She passed away at the age of 96 in November. I think of her, I think of soft power, strong influence, and opening America's eyes to mental health. What do you think her legacy will be?
You know, she really was a woman before her time. I mean, she was the most politically active First Lady since Eleanor Roosevelt. She was unapologetic about what she believed in. You know, long before Hillary Clinton said that she wasn't going to, she could have stayed home to bake cookies and make tea. She said it and she did it. You know, she very proudly said she was more political than her husband. I think a lot of people who know anything about politics believe that one of the reasons he was able to be successful to even get to the White House was thanks to her participation and her leadership. But, you know, your point about mental health, I think, is really striking. I mean, she really was talking about mental health at a time when nobody was talking about it. It was not a socially acceptable issue. And now, of course, we're just beginning to talk about it. And she led the way. And the other thing I have to share is I was privileged to be at her funeral, and it was such a testament to how to live a life in and with love. I mean, to have President Jimmy Carter there, who was himself in hospice, sitting to honor her, was so moving, so powerful, and so inspiring. It was a real celebration.
You are absolutely right. And Maggie, let's talk about Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the first woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. She passed away earlier this month at the age of 93. How do you think, where to even begin on how she will be remembered, especially in regard to her remarkable impact on women's rights?
I actually go back to the beginning of her journey and her career when I think about her impact, because, of course, she was the first woman to sit on the Supreme Court. But when she received her law degree, she did so at a time when only 2% of American law students were female. When she graduated at the top of her class in 1952, no one wanted to hire her except one firm in L.A. that wanted her to be a legal secretary. She, of course, negotiated and bargained for more, and we are so fortunate that she did. In 1972, she had been a legislator in the Arizona State Senate, and she became the first woman to become the state Senate majority leader out of any state in the nation. Of course, on the Supreme Court, she was known for her centrism and pragmatism. She did not like the term swing vote, but she often was the decisive vote on a very divided court, which made her the most powerful woman in America for much of her time on the bench. She was a crucial vote in protecting Roe v. Wade and judicial precedent for much of her time on the bench. Of course, in 1992's Planned Parenthood v. Casey, she joined forces with Justices Kennedy and Souter to protect the right to abortion and protect legal precedent, which lasted, of course, until 2022.
And Huma, we also lost a long-time Senator Dianne Feinstein earlier this fall, and you knew her very well. Tell us about her lasting impact on women in office and her influence on you.
Well, as we know, Dianne Feinstein was the longest-serving female senator to serve, and yes, I was privileged to know her, and I really think her lasting legacy is courageous leadership. I don't know how many people remember that her rise to power. I mean, she was sitting on the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco and was about to quit politics when this horrible tragedy, the mayor and Harvey Milk were assassinated down the hall, and hours later, she just rose to the occasion and showed what it is like to be a leader in a time of crisis. Went on to a very successful career in the Senate, where she was known for bringing people together, taking on issues like gun control and civil rights advocacy. But more than that, she was willing, and this is hard, and this is something that she did really well, which is looking at an issue and deciding this is going to be my position, but being willing to change. So opposing same-sex marriage and changing her mind on that. She was supported the death penalty, changed her mind on that. She voted for the war in Iraq, and then, presided over, the investigation into the treatment of prisoners at Guantanamo Bay. These were challenging, tough things, but she was not afraid to do that. And my most poignant personal memory with her was in that very fraught, divided primary campaign in 2007 when Hillary Clinton ran against Barack Obama, and people will remember she was the one when it was time for that primary to end, and Hillary was going to turn her support over to Obama. It was at Senator Feinstein's house in Washington that they met, this top secret meeting, and Hillary and I got into the trunk of a van and got into her house. I just remember her graciously offering wine to both of them, kind of breaking that tension and the ice, and just such a an example of a gracious and tenacious woman leader.
What an amazing story. So, Maggie, this year we also said goodbye to several entertainers, from Tina Turner, Sinead O'Connor, Lisa Marie Presley. How will the world remember them?
Well, each of these women have a different musical footprint that they have left on the world, but each one overcame tragedy and struggle in their lives, and I think will collectively be remembered for their fiery rock and roll personalities. Lisa Marie Presley, of course, was the only daughter of Elvis Presley. She was 9 when he died, and she became the sole inheritor to his estate. She really became the custodian of his legacy. She did have her own solo career. It never reached the level that Elvis's did, but she never tried to be anything that she wasn't. She spoke openly about embracing imperfection, and what was being more important was learning from the mistakes you make. And then Sinead O'Connor was a powerful Irish singer, so powerful I just used the present tense. And she will be remembered as much for her musical voice as she will her political one. Of course, she topped the charts with her cover of Prince's Nothing Compares to You. And then in 1992, famously ripped up a photo of Pope John Paul II on SNL. That derailed her career. She never quite reached the top of the musical charts in the same way. But in 2021, she said that it was actually being #1 that derailed her career, and ripping up the photo brought her back to herself and put her career back on track. And then, saving the best for last, the queen of rock and roll, Tina Turner. She burst onto the scene in the 60s with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue and received acclaim and attention in the 60s and 70s through that duo act. They were married, and it was an abusive marriage, so she left that. And it turned out that when she embarked on her solo career, that's when she stepped into her power. That's when she became a global phenomenon.
Maggie McGrath, Huma Abedin, thank you both so much. And you can read much more about the women we discussed here and many of the other notable women who passed away this year at knowyourvalue.com.